it was pouring rain, and I was stuck in rush hour traffic with Jack. He said, "I want the house we buy to be in my mom's name. She's done so much for me." He said he liked how understanding I was and hoped I could empathize with his parents. I agreed. "All right, but then my family won't provide a dowry. This way, neither side loses anything." He shouted at me to get out, so I told him it was my car and kicked him out. A week later, he came back to me. "Have you thought it through? If you just apologize and throw in an extra $20,000, we can still discuss our future." I chuckled and texted him back, "Get lost. I'm marrying someone else." Chapter 1. Today saw the heaviest rain of the year. Jack drove my car to pick me up, and due to the downpour, we were stuck in traffic. Jack had been silent for a long time before finally revealing his true intentions. "May, the house we're buying for our marriage, I want it to be in my mom's name. She's raised me all these years and endured a lot." I glanced at him in surprise. He was serious, not joking. Jack and I had met through a blind date. Initially, I didn't like him much, but he was polite and considerate. I was busy with work and had no time for dating. My mom even threatened to make a drastic decision if I didn't get married soon. Under family pressure, I agreed to the blind date. I had expected the date to be full of oddballs, but Jack was a pleasant surprise. He was tall, decent-looking, and polite. We quickly entered a relationship and experienced a brief honeymoon period. After the initial sweetness, I didn't expect him to reveal his true colors when it came to discussing marriage. At first, he suggested buying a bigger house but couldn't afford much of a bride price. I offered to help with the house purchase, and he pretended to be considerate, fearing I might claim a share of their house. Later, he proposed converting the wedding jewelry into cash, offering me $2,000, which I agreed to. After all, marriage is about two people living together, not about meticulous calculations. But now, looking back, I realized the gold price had risen faster than my wrinkles, and I had indeed let him off lightly. I replied with a half smile, "All right, what about the bride price?" He impatiently replied, "Including the $2,000 for the jewelry, I'll give you $3,000 more. And the dowry? Since the house is for both of us and you didn't contribute to it, you can provide a dowry of $20,000. If it weren't for the cramped space in the car, I would have punched and kicked him and spat in his face. I had already lost any good feelings towards him, and this was the last straw. The long simmering anger exploded. "Get out." Jack looked as shocked as I had been when he mentioned putting his mom's name on the deed. "Don't make me say it again." Jack glared at me before getting out of the car in a huff. He didn't realize how hard it would be to catch a cab on a rainy day. I sat in the car, playing music and waiting for the traffic to move. He tried to get back in, but I locked the doors and windows, watching him get soaked. This marriage? I'm done with it. Chapter 2. When you hit 30, it seems like the whole world starts urging you to settle down, parents, sisters, even neighbors. But I hadn't had a serious relationship before and was being forced into the next phase of life. My parents found out about me leaving Jack on the roadside. "May, how could you treat Jack like that? You were so close to getting married. Can't you just compromise a bit? It's just a house and we have our own. Your dad and I can provide a dowry. Just apologize to Jack." Sometimes I really don't understand my mom. This isn't just about money, it's about character. My parents treated my marriage like a task to be completed. Once done, they could move on. But I couldn't marry just anyone. "Mom, I won't marry him. Marrying him is like entering a lion's den. If you don't get married, relatives and neighbors will gossip about you. How can your dad and I hold our heads up?" My father clutched his chest and scolded me loudly. I used to be fooled by this, considering their health and complying with their wishes, but after hearing the same trick repeatedly, I became immune. I wouldn't compromise on this. Let them talk. I don't care what they say. You shouldn't worry about other people's opinions. Just live your life without unnecessary concerns. With that, I ignored their protests and left. I decided not to stay at home for a few days. I needed a break and to return to my comfortable life. Just then, I received a text message. It was from Jack. "Have you cooled down? Don't worry, as long as you bring the $20,000 dowry and apologize, I'll still marry you. I'm willing to forgive you." Is he out of his mind? The matchmaker didn't mention he had such issues. Get lost. I'm marrying someone else. I replied and turned off my phone. From my perspective, he probably had delusions of grandeur. I needed to prepare for the possibility of him doing something drastic. I messaged my mom, saying I was staying at my friend Lisa's place and not to worry. Then I texted Lisa. Me. What are you up to? I'm a bit bored. Lisa. Oscars or Soho? Me. Soho. Lisa. On my way. Teaming up with her always felt exhilarating. Recently, spending time with Jack had been suffocating. He never let me go anywhere, not even basic outings with Lisa. Initially, I thought it was because he cared about me, but later I realized he was just controlling. He wanted to control my social life and my entire existence. I freshened up, took out my makeup kit, and decided to glam up. It had been ages since I wore a full face of makeup because Jack didn't like heavy makeup. Now, I was a bit rusty. Jack used to say that girls who wore heavy makeup were insecure, thinking they weren't pretty enough and using makeup to cover their self-esteem issues. Now it seemed ridiculous to me that I listened to him. Since I was out of practice, it took me a while to finish my makeup, making me late. Lisa was already at the bar. Where are you? On my way. You haven't left yet? Almost there. Tonight's on me. Hearing that I was treating, Lisa calmed down. I hurried out and grabbed a cab. Chapter 3. I hurriedly got out of the cab and arrived at Soho Bar. Soho was one of the top bars in the city, filled with attractive men and women. It was my second time here. The first was when Lisa had a breakup. The charm of such places is that they make you temporarily forget all your troubles. Recently, I needed a drink to vent my frustrations. May, over here. As soon as I reached the entrance, I saw Lisa in a shimmering silver dress, her figure elegant and well-proportioned. She never disappointed me with her fashion sense. You look stunning. I nudged her playfully. Lisa hooked her arm around mine. You don't look too bad yourself. If you're feeling down, the best remedy is to have a drink with your best friend. We drank one glass after another, and I vented to her about Jack. What? He's that crazy? I never liked him from the start. Remember that time? Lisa rambled on, her throat getting dry from all the talking. In such a noisy environment, you had to speak loudly, and she kept moistening her throat with drinks. After a few rounds, she got a call and told me she needed to step out. I waited at our table, feeling a mix of emotions from the alcohol. I started to tear up, reflecting on my tumultuous love life. When she returned, she had a young man with her, looking about 20. Great, Lisa, you brought someone along. The young man followed Lisa to our booth. She got him a glass and poured him a drink. May, this is my cousin Ethan. He just finished his exams, so I brought him out to relax. She then turned to him. This is my best friend. You can call her Sis. Hi, Sis. Ethan was handsome, exuding youthful energy. His voice was pleasant, and calling me Sis repeatedly made me a bit flustered. Hello. I greeted him briefly and turned away, feeling awkward. At some point, Lisa and I had drunk too much, and Ethan had moved to sit beside me, occasionally pouring some of my drink into his glass. Drink less, Sis. Ethan's soft, pleasant voice was accompanied by his gentle touches. It was easy to guess his intentions. Just then, Jack called me. I ignored it, but he kept calling, so I turned off my phone. When we left, Lisa and I were both drunk, and Ethan had to hold on to us, preventing us from stumbling onto the street. We had done that before. After dropping Lisa off, I planned to take a cab home. I'll take you home. Ethan closed Lisa's door and turned to me. To my surprise, I agreed and let him escort me home. And at my door, we ran into Jack. Chapter 4. Jack's face turned angry when he saw Ethan helping me. He stormed over, ready to hit Ethan. My drunkenness faded, and I quickly stood between them, only to receive a slap on my right cheek. Jack froze, shocked by his own actions. Ethan, after a moment of surprise, quickly supported me and then glared at Jack. Hitting a woman? You call yourself a man? Jack sneered. A man? Are you even an adult kid? Seducing someone else's girlfriend? Didn't study well and learned to be a homewrecker. Hearing this, my right cheek throbbed with pain and anger. I couldn't hold back anymore and slapped Jack hard. You! Jack looked at me in disbelief. Have you had enough? This has nothing to do with him. He was just worried about my safety and brought me home. You, without any explanation, insulted and hit me. Apologize now. You want me to apologize to him? May, do you really think you're that desirable? Do you even realize your age? I don't want you. Who else would want you? This blonde kid? Huh, he needs to see if he even wants you. I realized I could no longer communicate with Jack. At this moment, he couldn't understand anything, and I didn't need to explain. Ethan stepped in front of me, his voice low and threatening. Mister, you've been dumped. Stop clinging. You might be unwanted, but she's not like you. I didn't want the situation to escalate or for Jack to hurt Ethan, so I formally broke up with Jack. I'm officially telling you now, I want to break up. Jack, we're done. From now on, anything I do has nothing to do with you. In Jack's shocked gaze, I took Ethan inside and slammed the door. Inside, I collapsed, exhausted and crying. I didn't want Ethan involved in this, but Jack's words were too harsh, and I needed Ethan to help me save face. Ethan silently stayed by my side, occasionally wiping my tears with his long, slender fingers that smelled faintly of soap. After crying, I calmed down, wanting to apologize to Ethan for dragging him into this mess and keeping him so late. Sorry for making a scene and wasting your time. And for the misunderstanding, I'm sorry. I met Ethan's eyes, and there was no blame in them. It's okay, sis. I'm happy you used me. Despite the awkwardness, there was a hint of sincerity in his words. Sorry, I just didn't want to be at a disadvantage in front of him. It's late, you should go. Ethan glanced at his phone. It was already past AM, being alone with him could easily be misunderstood, so I urged him to leave. Sis, are you in a hurry to get married? I'm not, but my parents think I should settle down. Maybe they're afraid I'll become an old maid. I mumbled shyly. How could that be? You're so beautiful, there's no way you won't find someone. Besides, women have a unique charm at any age. Ethan's sincerity made me blush. Ethan suddenly leaned in, cupping my face. We were only a breath away, the warmth of our breaths mingling. He whispered in my ear. So, what do you think of me, sis? Chapter 5. He must be drunk. Marriage isn't a joke. You're drunk. Besides, you're so young, I'm 6 years older than you. I'm an adult, and I'll graduate from college in a year. My parents hope I'll get married after graduation. We've only known each other for a day. Don't you think it's too hasty to say these things? Sis, if you think it's fast, we can start with dating from a bouquet, a formal confession. If you think it's slow, we can go to the registry tomorrow and have a wedding next week. His sudden declaration startled me. I tried to find a hint of jest in his face, but he looked sincere. Just a few words, May, get a grip. Don't make a rash decision. But I had to admit, Ethan was my type. From the moment I first saw him, I felt uneasy. But age aside, the fact that he's Lisa's cousin made it impossible for us to be together. I didn't want Lisa to come after me. I'm tired and want to rest. You should go. Ethan saw my hesitation and didn't push further. He wished me good night and left after adding me on social media. That night, I couldn't sleep. I didn't believe in love at first sight. I thought feelings needed time to develop. So when I met Jack, even though I didn't like him, I convinced myself I should. But we never had the same spark that I felt with Ethan, like a faint spark in the air that made my heart race and cheeks flush. Half asleep the next day, I turned on my phone to find a flood of messages and missed calls. My mom called me shameless and demanded I come home immediately or face drastic consequences. My dad accused me of bringing a young man home and disgracing the family. At the bottom was Ethan's friend request. I hadn't had time to accept it yesterday. I clicked accept and his message arrived instantly. "Good morning, sis. How did you sleep?" "Wow," instant reply. "Wonder how many girls he's used this on." "Thanks for yesterday. Will he bother you today? If he does, I'll come over." I didn't want Ethan getting further involved, so I replied, "It's fine. I've sorted it out. I just want to rest today." "All right, rest well. I ordered breakfast for you. It's at your door." I told the delivery guy it was from a guy, so he won't suspect. "I'll text you when it arrives." Ethan's thoughtfulness touched me. I couldn't help but wish things were different so we could date properly. But I had too much to deal with at home first. I changed and headed home, forgetting about the breakfast. Chapter 6. I walked in to find the living room full of people, my parents, Jack and his parents, and the matchmaker who introduced us. I had prepared myself on the way back, but facing them all made me feel alone. Changing shoes under their scrutiny, Jack was the first to speak. "Where were you last night? You saw, didn't you? I was at a hotel." Jack's mom stood up, yelling, "Look at your daughter. No shame. She dumps my son and immediately finds another man to sleep with. Does she even know what shame is?" "Exactly. We chose your daughter because she seemed responsible. Otherwise, with my son's qualities, he could find anyone. Stable job, responsible, good looks. Do you know how many girls are lining up to date him?" Jack's arrogance made sense now, seeing his father speak. To them, I was the dirt and Jack was the flower. Seeing Jack's parents so agitated, my mom urged me to apologize. I refused, and my dad reached for a feather duster to hit me in front of everyone. Not only was I an adult, but they didn't support me even in front of others. They didn't listen to my side and assumed I was wrong. I had enough and smashed a teacup on the floor, the shattering sound silencing the room. Just as I was about to speak, the doorbell rang. I angrily opened the door to see Lisa and Ethan. "What are you doing here?" I was shocked and embarrassed, not wanting them to see this. Lisa stormed in, immediately confronting Jack. "Oh, Mr. Dutiful Son, here to demand answers with your parents? Aren't you ashamed? Want to put the house in your mom's name? Who's getting married, you or her? Marriage is about two people building a life together, not a free maid for your mom. May doesn't owe you anything." "You!" "What? Haven't finished yet. You think you're so desirable? May was blind to date you. You're just a pompous jerk. If ugliness was a disease, you'd be beyond help." Lisa's tirade was satisfying, but I didn't want Jack's family targeting my friends. I signaled her to stop. "Who is this rude girl? No manners. Is this the kind of friends your daughter keeps? Birds of a feather." Jack's father sneered at my dad, who was easily swayed by others' opinions. "Enough!" I shouted, startling everyone. I walked to Jack and said, "We've broken up. We didn't have deep feelings, just testing the waters. This isn't just you evaluating me, I'm evaluating you too. You have no right to judge me. Forget the house and dowry. You've insulted and hurt me. We're done. Even if I never marry, I won't marry you." Every word was heavy. Hearing that he hit me, my mom finally stood up for me. "What? You hit my daughter? Let me see, honey. Does it hurt?" I pushed my mom's hand away. "Mom, Dad, if I don't marry, am I not your daughter? Why do you side with outsiders and criticize me? Am I really that bad? Even if I don't marry, is that so bad? Why do you focus on my age? Why not support me? My parents' silence choked me up. I had rarely expressed these feelings, always complying to avoid worrying them. But now, I had to speak up. Facing others, I could be indignant, but facing my parents, tears welled up uncontrollably. Jack, this is the end for us. If you spread any rumors about me, I'll take legal action. We can part ways without making it uglier. Jack, realizing he was outnumbered and outargued, left with his parents, giving Ethan a hard shoulder bump as he went. Ethan stood firm, while Jack stumbled slightly, looking ridiculous. Chapter 7. The room was left with just us. My words had silenced my parents, creating an awkward atmosphere. Lisa playfully approached my mom. Auntie, May is such a wonderful girl, beautiful and understanding. There's no way she won't find a good match. Don't push her too hard. If it comes to it, I have a brother, a straight-A student, about to graduate. How about he becomes your son-in-law? What? Lisa, why are you dragging Ethan into this? I quickly tried to explain. No, Mom, don't listen to Lisa. She's just joking. I think he's a good choice. My dad's unexpected agreement left me speechless. It seemed he was willing to marry me off to anyone just to get it over with. Hi, Auntie, Uncle, I'm Ethan. What's he trying to do? I don't have any bad habits. I'll be working in my dad's company after graduation. I'm 6'1" and 145 pounds. I may be slim, but I'm building muscle and in great shape. Stop, you're making it worse. I hurriedly pulled these two troublemakers out of the room and shut the door behind us. What's going on? I crossed my arms, glaring at Lisa. I knew her too well. She had to have a plan. Spill it. Lisa immediately put on a cheeky smile. I knew I couldn't hide it from you. Remember when you accompanied me to pick up some materials from the university? I thought back and remembered. Lisa was an art instructor at a university, and at the time I had just started dating Jack. Once, I accompanied her to the administration office to deliver some documents. She mentioned something to a teacher, and next to him was a student filling out a form. Yes, that's him. Since that day, he's been bugging me for your contact info. But you were with Jack, so I didn't give it to him. When you told me you broke up, I messaged my brother and he came running. So the night you got drunk and he took me home was planned? Lisa's eyes widened. He took you home? He didn't tell me because I was really drunk that night. Ethan and I both looked down, embarrassed. We had met before. Initially, I thought Ethan's interest was just youthful infatuation. But now, I realized his feelings might be deeper. I sent them away, intending to have a serious talk with my parents. Inside, my parents were still quiet, but the mood had softened. Mom. She grabbed my hand, tears streaming down her face. It's our fault, May. We shouldn't have tried to control your life or sided with outsiders over you. This marriage doesn't have to happen. Dad was wrong too. I shouldn't have judged without understanding the situation. I'm sorry. Don't worry, we won't pressure you anymore. Anyone who tries to hurt you will have to answer to me. Their change of heart was unexpected. Maybe they realized their mistakes, or perhaps they would revert to old ways later. But for now, I could breathe a sigh of relief. Chapter 8. With that settled, I returned to the hotel to get my luggage. To my surprise, Ethan was waiting for me. What are you doing here? Waiting for you. Your breakfast is here, though it's probably cold by now. Ethan's eyes twinkled with a resigned yet amused expression. The morning's chaos had made me forget about breakfast. Come in, I need to talk to you. Ethan followed me inside, looking like a child who had just been rewarded. We sat down and I composed my thoughts. I admit, I have feelings for you, but not strong enough to call it love. You're young, energetic, and thoughtful, but that's not what I need. I need someone who can help me solve problems when they arise, who can give me sound advice when I'm lost, someone I can depend on. And with you, I don't know how to rely on you. I can be someone you rely on. I'll work hard to become the person you need. Ethan's eyes were earnest, almost tearful. Ethan, you're young. Your future holds many choices. I know you're brave enough to make mistakes and take risks, but I can't let you do that. You need to figure out what you want to become, not just change for me. From now on, don't contact me. I'll be away on business for a while. You won't get any information from Lisa either. She won't know where I am. Focus on your studies, graduate successfully, and then find out what you truly want. Saying this was hard. I didn't want to lose the feeling of excitement he brought me, but he had too many paths ahead. I couldn't take away his right to choose. As I opened the door for him to leave, his steps were as heavy as my heart. He took a few steps, then suddenly turned and hugged me tightly but gently. I'll grow up, and you'll wait for me. He whispered, then left. I watched him go, closed the door, and leaned against it. Any longer, and I might rush out to stop him. Finally, I could move on from all this. Chapter 9. I applied for a transfer to another city, planning to take a break. I left for 2 years. During this time, my career flourished. I was promoted to executive director, with increasingly demanding responsibilities. Often, I barely had time for a hot meal, constantly preparing proposals for clients. It was exhausting, but I loved the control I had over my destiny. I didn't worry about turning 30, nor did I face family pressure to marry. Here, I found my value. Everyone here was busy, but occasional leisure was allowed. This weekend, we had a team dinner to celebrate a new project. Everyone, this Saturday afternoon, we're going to Utopia Party House for some fun. Barbecue, beer, karaoke, all on the company. Yay! Everyone cheered in unison, looking forward to the unique team-building event. I hadn't dressed up in a long time. Early Saturday morning, I got up, washed, and applied meticulous makeup. I planned to take some good photos today, not just for the team dinner but because it was my 30th birthday. I never thought this day would come so soon. I used to fear turning 30, thinking I'd age rapidly and become a tired, overworked woman. But now, I saw it differently. 30 brought a better life. I became more independent and powerful, able to decide my future without compromise or confusion. I was braver and more attractive than before. All dolled up, I headed out. The air felt sweet. Chapter 10. Arriving at Utopia Party House, many colleagues were already there. Director May, over here. Director May, sit with me. Little Zhang waved me over. Eyeing the array of kebabs, my stomach growled. Just as I was about to dig in, the general manager started a speech, forcing me to put down the skewer. I'll savor you later. First, thank you all for your hard work. On behalf of the company, I appreciate your efforts. After this project, everyone gets a bonus. Cheers erupted, followed by a collective toast. Secondly, today is a special day. It's our executive director May's birthday. Let's all wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday! Everyone looked at me, catching me off guard. I hadn't told anyone about my birthday, and my personal information had been delayed in transferring to this company. How did the general manager know? Thank you all. Thank you, manager. I'll drink to that. 2 glasses of wine down, and I hadn't even eaten yet. The manager, satisfied, drew the crowd's attention back to him. Lastly, our deputy general manager is temporarily stepping down due to health reasons. Headquarters has sent us a new colleague, young and handsome, sure to make us envious. Ha ha ha! Hearing. Young and handsome. Little Zhang's eyes lit up, while I just wanted to eat. Seizing the moment, I sneaked a bite of toast. The taste of food was heavenly. Let's welcome our new deputy general manager, Ethan. Everyone, a round of applause. What? Did I hear that right? He said Ethan? I dropped my toast and looked toward the front. About 6'1", well-built, familiar yet more mature, exuding the charm of a grown man. Ethan smiled at me. Long time no see, Director May. Happy birthday. Colleagues started whispering. Does Director May know the new deputy general manager? They seem close. Could he be an ex-boyfriend? I've never heard of Director May having a love life. Maybe they're just friends? Friends? That look says otherwise. As the party continued, some colleagues got drunk. Ethan was mingling with the general manager. I seized the chance to slip out for some fresh air. The party house was a bit out of town, making the night air refreshing. As I breathed it in, Ethan joined me, sitting down. I looked at him, unsure where to start. Long time no see, sis. Keep it down, don't let anyone hear. I glanced around, feeling like a thief. What are you doing here? Ethan showed me his chat with Lisa. That traitor, selling me out again. But Ethan seemed more mature, his gaze more determined than before. May, I know what I want now. Before I could respond, he kissed me. This time, I didn't pull away. Chapter 11. After over 2 years, it was time to visit home, especially since I had big news to share. Lisa was waiting at the airport, beaming when she saw us disembark together. She slapped Ethan playfully. Good job, bro. You finally won your girl. I teased. You two are in cahoots. Hey, it's because our May is so charming. You have no idea how much he cried when you rejected him. Shush! Ethan interrupted, embarrassed, saving himself from further teasing. All right, let's go home. We arrived home, where my parents had prepared a feast. Mom, Dad, I'm back. They came out of the kitchen smiling, utensils in hand. Ethan, carrying our bags, stepped in. Hi, Mom, Dad, I'm Ethan. This time, I saw genuine smiles on their faces.